Well, here we are back again on Ngunnawal land, gathering at the kind invitation of Morris and the board, the sponsors and the members of the National Press Club. But since last time we gathered, not just one new president, but two, Trump and Connell. Congratulations, Tom, on your election, and thanks for your introduction. And I also pay tribute to your predecessor, Laura Tingle, who's here as well. And to everyone here, including the pundits, and let's face it, on recent form, probably a couple of protesters as well. Now, last night, as Tom rightly pointed out, was the first time since Ben Chifley was PM and Treasurer, more than 3/4 of a century ago, that there have been 4 budgets in a single parliamentary term. And of the 11 times that I've spoken here at the National Press Club, I think it's the 4 post-budget opportunities that I have cherished the most. Partly because Laura Chalmers comes along and is here again today. She brought Leo last night, and it means a lot to me to have her here. And also because these post-budget speeches offer us the chance to go behind the budget a bit, to provide a bit more of the colour and context. And today I wanted to do that. I want to talk about how our economy is turning a corner even as global conditions take a turn for the worse. I want to explain how seismic changes in the world validate and vindicate our strategy rather than undermine it. And I want to lay out our government's economic case for re-election, based on our progress to here, our plans from here, and the risks posed by our political opponents. But first, let me just sketch the backdrop a bit. 20 years ago now, I fronted up for the first of my 19 budget lockups. Peter Costello was the Treasurer, and the global economy was a very, very different place. And in the 2 decades since then, half a dozen subsequent Treasurers presided over 3 big economic shocks. The first, a financial crisis that became a demand shock. The second, a pandemic that became mostly a supply shock. The third, an inflationary shock that lingers around the world longer than anyone had hoped. Now, escalating trade tensions now risk, if not already represent, the 4th big economic shock in just 17 years. Now, if you think about the big post-war global economic story, from Bretton Woods in 1945 to the high inflation of the 1970s, you think about the Washington Consensus that held from the end of the Cold War until the beginning of the global financial crisis. There's a tendency to talk about economic shocks as punctuation, a break in the flow. But the last 20 years or so have proven that global shocks in one form or another are now chapters in their own right. They no longer interrupt the story, they are the story. So governing a country like ours in uncertain times like these is a responsibility that we accept, and it's an opportunity that we cherish, led by the Prime Minister, who is here again today, and I appreciate him coming along. Now, his collaborative style of leadership is appreciated by all of us in his team. Now, Katie Gallagher and I, we told the Cabinet yesterday that we consider ourselves really fortunate to have been so well supported by so many ministers, and I know that a number of them are here today, and I want to thank and acknowledge them again in front of all of you. And no Treasurer has ever been more fortunate than me when it comes to the Finance Minister, the best colleague that I have ever had. And nothing that we've done over the course of the last 4 budgets would have been possible without Katie Gallagher's calm and composure and her empathy and her judgment. Please put your hands together for Katie.